What is your favorite Southern dish?
Well, seeing as that we're in the South and you just made these delicious cookies that are laid out here as though I just baked them, but in fact, my lovely wife Lauren, who's off camera, did, I'm going to say delicious peanut butter cookies baked by my lovely wife.
Are peanut butter cookies a Southern dish?
We're in the South.
Ask Adam.
Okay.
Big old pot of collard greens. All right, so it's Ask Adam, episode number 3. I'm Adam Ragusea, famed internet cook. Not really, but I mean, you apparently, you're watching this, so cool. And like, we got over 1,000 questions, right, on Instagram, is where I solicited questions this time, something like that.
I think that it was a little over 800.
Really?
There were over 1,000 likes.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay.
Adam's still new to the Instagram.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, at least I didn't get ratioed.
That's
That's
Twitter.
not a thing on Instagram?
I think that's Twitter.
Yeah, okay. All right. So,
All right, old man Ragusea.
thank you.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Give me another one.
What aspects of your new kitchen are your favorite?
Well, one of them just happens to be over my shoulder. So Brant Freeman, the really talented cabinet maker who designed and built this kitchen, gave us a little surprise toward the end, which was that he had gone in and taken out the, what are those called? Wall...
I believe it's pronounced lathe. I always thought it was pronounced lathe.
Lathe?
But I think
Lath.
it's
a lath, yeah, right? Wall laths. Which are basically, it's like in an old style, what do you call it? Plaster wall, right? You'd have the studs, which would be the sort of big, pieces of wood that make up the main structure of the wall. And then there'd be the laths, which would be these kind of, really kind of light little wood pieces in between. And that would create a webbing that would be enough to kind of put a whole bunch of plaster out of. Thank you. Basically, it's an update of wattle and dowd construction, or dod construction, which is how like medieval buildings were built, which wattle was like a network of sticks instead of the laths and studs. And the dod, and this is the fun part, the dod was a mixture of mud and dung. So, anyway, that's one of my favorite parts of the of the kitchen. He took the wall laths and made a lovely little art piece from them of the reclaimed laths, and I thought that was very nice. But it's also really nice to have.
I don't think it's plural. I think
lath. Oh,
I
lath
think
is plural.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Did you know that peas is also the singular? It's like.
It's not a pea.
Yeah, it's not a pea. It's like, kid, come on, eat just one peas. That's correct.
Sure. Okay.
Now, all that said, new kitchen, old reliable sponsor. This video brought to you by Squarespace. Seriously, while we're getting personal, let me say that Squarespace's steadfast support of my work was a huge factor in me deciding to take the plunge and make videos for you full time. Squarespace is absolutely everything you need to make and run a website. It's a cinch to throw something together with one of their templates, no talent required, just a couple of pictures and some words. Every template looks great on mobile too. Then if you need to transact anything on your site, like taking orders, Squarespace handles all of that for you. And look at this new feature, scheduling. Say you need your customers or your clients to book appointments with you. There's a whole new calendar function in Squarespace to do just that. You specify your availability and then they can book themselves on your site. And if you want, this calendar can sync automatically to the calendar that you have on your phone. You can try everything here for free, but when you're ready to publish or buy a domain, go to squarespace.com/Ragusea. You'll save 10% and you'll be supporting this channel just as Squarespace has. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring Ask Adam number 3. And we're back.
Next, if you could meet any chef, who would it be? Let's keep it to living.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's like one of them would be Joanne Chang, who has a bunch of bakeries in the Boston area called Flour. But what I really love is this restaurant that she has called Myers and Chang, which is just dynamite. But the thing is, I've already met her because one of the great things about being a journalist, as I was for many years and debatably still am, is that you get to like meet your heroes, which is just fantastic.
But the downside of being a journalist is that we went to her bakery for you to interview her, and for Thanksgiving, and she was making apple pies, and she offered us an apple pie. but because you were working as a journalist, you could not accept it because you can't accept gifts.
Ethics.
And I was so upset because I wanted that pie. It smelled so good.
Well, let me tell you, I work for myself now, and I make my own ethics, all right? So
So we'll take all your
I'm going to eat
celebrity
that pie,
pies.
yeah. I'm going to eat that pie next time.
Look, if Christina Tosi from Milk Bar is listening, she can send as many confetti cakes as she wants.
Well, I mean, really, there's only one right answer to this, which is Chrissy Teigen, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to hang out with her in general.
she's the best.
But when she cooks on Instagram, it always looks like a really fun atmosphere, and the food also looks excellent.
She's the best, and her cookbooks are really, really good. But I'll go one more and say probably Michel Roux Jr. would be like the celebrity chef I'd most want to meet, just because I want to be friends with him. I want the constant warm hug of that man's friendship, or at least what I imagine his friendship to be. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read the full thing.
Okay.
Hey, man. Do you think your experience with music composition has informed how you put together narratives today? Do you think your time studying music was valuable to what you're doing now?
Yes, without a doubt. In some direct ways and some indirect ways. One thing that I feel that I've learned in my time, hopping from kind of career to career a little bit, maybe more so than some other people do, is I think that like the making things is making things, right? It doesn't matter if it's a string quartet or a pie or video. Like making things is making things, and I feel almost on a tactile level that it's like the same part of the brain that's working to do all of those things. And that was sort of something that took me a little while to kind of figure out and accept, because I think, you get told when you're good at something, or your mom thinks you're good at something when you're a kid, that like this is the thing you're supposed to do. And then it took me a while to like let go of music as being the thing that I'm not supposed to do, right? And then for a while I kind of thought, well, maybe, just sort of clean break, not going to spend any more good money after bad. But then I realized, I was like, oh, wait, no, I never stopped doing the thing, which is making things. That's all it is. It's the same thing. So I feel that anything that you do to get better at making things will help you make other things. And then in some more direct ways, I think, maybe music doesn't help with cooking so much, other than to sort of, well, sometimes it does. I think about musical things when I cook sometimes. I think about, it's almost like orchestration, right? People who haven't studied orchestration, which is to say taking a piece of music that has been written and making it work for a whole bunch of instruments, like deciding which instruments are going to play what of the composition. That's essentially what orchestration is, right? People who haven't had a lot of experience or training with that tend to kind of throw everything in the pot, and everything kind of overlaps a lot. What more experienced orchestrators learn is like to, really do things minimally and let the different elements stay out of each other's way. Keep the high things here and the middle things here and the low things here, and leave some space and give them each, particular jobs to do so they don't step on each other's toes, right? And similarly, I sometimes see recipes where I think it's just like everybody is putting everything in the pot, and nothing is able to be heard on any kind of, things aren't kind of working in counterpoint, they're just kind of blah, right? And so I think sometimes when I'm coming up with recipes about kind of having each element have its own space to sing, right? So I think about that sometimes, and then certainly that experience helps with like making videos and thinking about giving things an arc and a beginning, a middle, end, and a climax that should go somewheres around where the golden ratio would fall and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. We had a couple questions about captioning. RachelWolf.rw complimented your captions and said...
Ironic, given that this video is not going to be captioned, because I'm not going to transcribe all of this babbling.
Do you think we should not ask this question?
No, it's fine.
Okay. What's your process for captioning the videos? And then a few other people asked if you ever considered hiring somebody to caption them in other languages.
Two good questions. So Captioning is easier for me than I think it is for kind of lots of other people who do this kind of work because my work is scripted, right? I write every single word I say to camera with the notable exception of this series of videos, right? Which is why I'm not captioning this one. So there's already there's already text in a text file to begin with. All I really have to do is kind of go back and tweak it to account for any ad libs or deviations that I did, which especially is time consuming on the Monday videos where I'm kind of memorizing little bits of script and then delivering them to camera and then memorizing a little bit more and delivering them to camera more, right? So I'm going to go off of just for this, bad memory, right? I'm going to go off of the script a little bit there, and so I have to kind of do a lot more tidying with those. With the recipe videos, it's like a 15-minute process to go through and kind of clean up the captions file, right? So that's that process. For something like this, an unscripted piece of content, what a lot of people would do would be to use one of these transcription services that basically just send your audio to a Google machine learning model that will do a speech to text thing. And I don't know, that I've worked a lot with that kind of stuff, and it's just, for me, I mean, the thing is, it's like, it would basically, you'd get something that is as good as the automatic speech to text. That machine learning model is exactly what is generating the text that is down here right now if you have your captions turned on, right? And is it accurate? Let me try to give it a word that would super confuse it. Almond, 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 almond. Oh, I lost my microphone. So anyway, on the one hand, that technology is really miraculous. On the other hand, it still sucks and it takes a lot of work to clean up. So other options, there are human transcription services that are basically outsourced to India, where you have a lot of people who speak English and will work for very low wages. And that's something that maybe I should explore doing for this particular series of videos. I have complex feelings about all of that. But one of my main hesitations there is the same main hesitation that I have for outsourcing translation services, which is quality control, right? Especially with the Monday videos, the sort of science-y ones that often relate to food safety and stuff, I'm really concerned about something getting some really sensitive piece of scientific language that I have, vetted through multiple scientist fact checkers and, nailed it down that this is the right thing to say from a public health standpoint or something like that, which happens all the time. And I'm worried about that getting slightly mistranslated and the wrong idea being communicated and somebody doing the wrong thing and getting sick or hurting themselves or something like that. So that worries me. And I don't, especially, if I was going to outsource translation services, I would have no power to check their work, right? To do quality control. Other than maybe the Spanish ones, but even then, you don't want to hear my Spanish. So that's my main hesitation. And if anybody has any genius solutions to these problems, please let me know about it. I'm gonna have a cookie.
How has quarantine affected your video production?
The kids are home all the time. And they're super loud.
But they've started learning, Daddy's making a video.
That's kind of depressing. Yeah, that's the main impact, is just that, the kids don't go to school. And so, in a way, I have been starting to feel like I've been getting my workflow really managed, right? Certainly the Monday videos, the recipe videos, I've gotten way better at shooting those, not in a way that you would see, but in a way that affects me when I sit down to edit them. I'm getting way better at shooting for the edit and really streamlining what I have to do when I sit down and edit. And editing those is it's taking a lot less time now. So I was feeling like I'd kind of gotten my workflow under control and I was working a reasonable number of hours a week, and then COVID happened and the kids are home and all the time. And so there's just so much parenting. So ceaseless parenting. Which, by the way, somebody else asked, why do you record your videos at weird times of day? And I'm like, that's why. Ding-a-ling. Anyway.
Well, there was also the video you did about marinades. You sent me to this was close to the beginning. I think it was end of March, maybe beginning of April. And you sent me to the store to get supplies. And you couldn't get meat anywhere at the time.
That's
like
true,
people
yeah.
had panic bought it all. And so I went to the fresh market, which has an actual butcher. And all they had were 2 tiny little scraps. And I was like, I will take those. And the butcher specifically asked me, what are you going to do with this tiny piece of flank steak? I was like, it's a whole thing.
It was perfect. I know, exactly.
He's going to turn it blue.
Sure. Yeah, I don't like telling people what I do for a living now. Like, I mean, at least not like normal people, right? Like, I just think that sounds.
Our favorite cashier at Publix, she knows, and she asks, checks in. And I remember early on, I was buying groceries, and she said, "Is he able to make videos? Are you able to get what you need?" And we were at the time. We got everything we needed.
The gray-haired lady?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think she's retired now because she was about to retire, right when
yeah.
all this started. So I haven't seen her in a while, and I think she might have retired.
Well, cheers to you.
I know.
Many
I'm
happy
sad
returns.
because she told me that she was looking forward to a bunch of travel. And now, obviously, she can't travel, but hopefully once this is all over, she'll get to do her travel.
Hopefully.
Because she's retired.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. During your discussions on health, you tend to show Oreos as your processed sugar example. Are they your junk food of choice? If not, what is?
It's so funny because it's like when it's like 2 equals a trend all of a sudden. Like people are just like, oh my God, did Adam get bought out by Big Fennel? Is Adam on the fennel board now? Everything has fennel in it. I did 2 videos with fennel. I've done like 35,000 videos with onion. I did 2 with fennel. So yeah, I mean, I think, look, I think this is a part of a broader phenomenon where kind of everyone, especially on the internet, where you're just bombarded with information all the time and new things, like your brain is constantly looking for patterns to make sense of the world. And so if you see something twice, you feel as though like there's a trend, but like there's not. I mean, I actually only think I showed Oreos once, like 2 different shots in the same video.
Okay, but the question was,
sorry.
Are Oreos your favorite junk food?
No, probably Hershey bars would be my favorite junk food. With certain kinds of ice cream a second, but probably Hershey bars. I grew up in Pennsylvania, right? Like I grew up in central Pennsylvania. We would, school trips to Hershey Park every spring, and so it's like it's in my blood, and it's wrapped up in lots of really kind of happy childhood memories. And so I know, especially like if people in Europe right now if you ever had a Hershey bar, you're probably like, dude, what the hell? Because people in Europe think that Hershey bars are trash because it's very.
So do people in Australia and New Zealand because they all.
Well, really everywhere other than America, right? Like it's the specific. I'm going to look it up and put it down here, but there's this specific acid that is present in Hershey bars that is not present in any other kind of form of chocolate in the world. That is just really off-putting to people who didn't grow up eating Hershey bars. So. And that's fine. I mean, on the one hand, I want to say, open your mind, right? But on the other hand, I want to be, why do we like the foods that we like? We like them because they haven't killed us yet, right? I mean, somebody asked about like kind of adult picky eating and kind of pathological picky eating. And by the way, if it's a pathological, it's an actual like problem. You shouldn't ask some idiot on the internet about it. You should go see a mental health professional. I just spit all over your cookies.
Excellent.
I know. You should go see a mental health professional about it. But, I think it's important to kind of think about from an evolutionary standpoint, like why we like the foods we like. We like the foods we like, 2 basic things. One is like they have the basic nutrients that we need in order to survive, okay? The other thing is that like they are familiar to us, right? Because if you've been eating that root from out the base of that tree many times and it tastes familiar to you, that means it's not poisonous, because if it was poisonous, you'd be dead, right? So anything that you've had many times and you've associated with being sated, right? Being full and happy and cooking and eating with your family and everything, anything you've had repeated experiences with like that, like you're going to develop these very powerful, affinities toward in your kind of deep like brainstem area, animal brain, right? So, whatever kind of chocolate like, you associate with, I'm losing my mic again. So whatever kind of chocolate like you associate with good childhood memories is the right chocolate for you. Because God knows like nobody needs to be eating chocolate. At least nobody who's, in a economic class where you're like sitting around watching YouTube. Few people.
That got deep.
Yeah.
For a question of, do you like Oreos?
I'm so insufferable.
No, you're not. You're a delight.
Yeah.
Do you need a pizza stone or steel to make great pizza?
You need it if you want to make the styles of pizza that are dependent on it, right? But there are other options. So for instance, I have a video for a like cast iron pan pizza, which you could do with any heavy, reasonably non-stick pan. You can do it in a Teflon pan. And that's like, I think I even said in that video, it's like a style of pizza that's really much more suited to the home kitchen. When you're using a pizza stone, what you're really trying to do is kind of get your kitchen to be something that it's not, which is a 1,000-degree pizza oven. There's a fruit fly in here.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. So, for a New York style pizza or a Neapolitan, sorry, a Napoli pizza with the Naples. What's the adjectival form of Naples? For a Neapolitan style pizza, for a California style pizza, yeah, I think you need a pizza stone or steel. There's no way around it. Like somebody emailed me saying, hey, I tried to make your pizza and I've got a pan just like yours, but the bottom didn't come out brown. And I said, what do you mean pan? There's no pan in my recipe. And he sent me a picture. He said, one of these. And it was one of these. It was like an aluminum cookie sheet that he had tried to like preheat in his oven for an hour at 500 degrees, and then he put his pizza on there. And just this metal just does not retain anywhere close to the sufficient heat to bake the bottom of a pizza. So if you don't want to get one of those, then there's like other options. People grill pizza, where either out on the grill, or actually you can do it on the grill grates in your oven, where you just sort of like get the oven really, really hot. You kind of lay the dough untopped on there. You let it pre-bake for a second, like a pie, like a blind bake. And then you top it a little bit. And then, then you finish. Then the pizza is done. The problem with those, and like there's like a Good Eats episode about grilled pizza where he does that on an outdoor grill, and like the bottom is amazing, the top is miserable because it just does not, the cheese just does not get enough heat over the course of that cooking. So as I'm answering this question, I'm thinking, well, I could do that in the oven, and then I could turn the broiler on at the end. And yeah, you just gave me that's a video idea. Okay, well, that one's coming. I have also recently experimented with cooking a pizza just purely on the stovetop.
Oh my God.
Purely on the stovetop. So I just put the dough in, put the toppings in, brought the heat in underneath it, and then when the bottom was brown, I like tried flipping it like an omelet, like a pancake, and then like literally like frying the cheese. And
it looked like it had been run over by a car.
Picture here. It actually tasted better than it looked, and so I feel like there's something promising there, but that needs more experiments in the lab.
Just got a nice chef's knife for my birthday. What are some no-nos, like tossing it in the sink and stuff?
Yeah, you just basically want to keep it away from metal, right? Anything metal, anything hard, anything super inflexible. Stone, glass. Anything like that is going to mess with your edge. So poly cutting boards are fine. Wood is, of course, phenomenal if you want to deal with cleaning it. Food, it can handle food. But I mean, honestly, like, bone, if you're hacking through bone, a chef's knife, some are stout enough to handle that, but some aren't. That's actually kind of one of the reasons why like German style or European style chef's knives actually have like a wider angle to the blade, is to be able to kind of hack through things, whereas like an Asian style blade would probably, you deform the blade if you were kind of hacking through bone. At least Asian style chef's knife. I mean, like Asian style cleavers are a totally different thing, and that's exactly what they're designed for hacking, right? In fact, as I'm saying that, I'm wondering if maybe that's the reason why Asian culinary traditions developed those two totally different knife styles to specialize them. And in Europe, they kind of kept it concentrated in one all-purpose. Anyway, interesting question. So yeah, just keep it away from hard things. Don't put it in the dishwasher. It just gets too much heat and too much chemicals. It'll dissolve a little bit. But in general, I mean, like, what I would temper all of that to say that it is my personal belief that, like, things are meant to be used, right? Like, this whole thing where you, like, buy something that's that's beautiful and perfect that you never even touch it, you never even look at it, right? Just like leaving the Star Wars action figure in the box and putting it in a lighted case. Like, I just think that, like, get it out and play with it, okay? Yeah, so use your chef's knife, and don't forget about the notion that it's going to last you your entire life. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but, like, the point of things is to be used. Your things should serve you. You should not serve them.
What dish do you suggest a beginner cook makes to gain more confidence in the kitchen?
I think that pasta is a great place to start, because there's just so many. A lot of, like, the great pasta dishes, like the things you would, like, serve to a king or queen, are incredibly cheap, incredibly quick, and incredibly easy, right? Like, how do you say the one with the pepper and the cheese?
Cacio e pepe?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just don't want to get myself in trouble. It's fine if you say it. I can't say anything.
You white girl from Florida, you can
Florida.
say you can
from
say
Florida. You know, like, that's the pasta of kings, and it's done in 15 minutes and cost like $1.50 per portion, if that, you know. So I think that's good. I think eggs are great, again, for all of the same reasons. Because what you want is things that you can fail at, right? Low stakes things that are going to require minimal investment of time and or money, so that you can just, like, do it, screw it up, throw it in the trash, try it again. Absolutely, you know, so eggs, what else? Also, risotto would be a great one. That one's a slightly larger investment of time. It takes, start to finish, probably a half an hour to make risotto. But it's also, it's incredibly inexpensive. And another thing, like with rice dishes and pasta too, more so rice, it's like, even if you screw up, it's still pretty good, right? Like, even if you take the rice a little bit too far and it's a little bit mushy, who cares? It's a pilaf at that point, and it tastes fine, or a savory rice pudding, that'd be a great one too. And then, if you're talking about, like, meat, I would, there's no substitute for experience with cooking meat, right? Thermometers no. I mean, unless you're going to buy, like, a $150 thermopen that will actually give you, like, a really accurate reading when you're cooking a thin steak, there's no substitute for just using your senses and having experience. So, like, if you want to cook steak and get it, and beep, 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 and get it, like, perfectly medium rare every single time, or thereabouts, there's no substitute for just, like, go to the store. If you see something on sale, some cheap ass steak, where there's just, like, it's like the family pack, and it's, like, starting to turn brown a little bit because the cut surface is oxidizing, that's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to make the meat taste bad. It's just that butchers know that they can't sell that, so that's why they're going to, like, cut the price in half. Buy, like, a big pack of those, take it home, and just cook a whole bunch of steaks in succession, one after the other. And as soon as you can start to kind of connect the finished result with how it looked and felt and sounded and smelled in the pan, that's when just your eyes open up and everything becomes so much simpler. But the broader thing is, like, keep it low stakes. That's how you learn how to cook, okay? I think I deal with this where, like, kids who are watching my videos email me and they're saying, hey, I really want to try, this big elaborate dish that you cook because it's going to be my dad's birthday, or I have a date or something like that. I'm like, no, that's the exact opposite of how you should learn how to cook, right? Learn how to cook for yourself, or, like, one person in your life who, like, you don't care what they think of you.
I just feel bad for the kids who want to make their dad dinner, and you said no.
Do, but, like, cook it 10 times before the big night, cook it for yourself every night that week, okay? And then you can nail it at the end of that. but never like do something for the first time when it's a special occasion. That's madness.
I thought when you said I deal with this, I thought you were going to talk about all the times you've seen me try to cook from a cookbook recipe and end up being like, it's not working, and throwing the spoon down.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that happens.
Yeah. Less so now. I'm getting better because I've learned from you.
Well, it's also just that, thanks, COVID. Lots more cooking around here.
That's true. That is true.
And there's nothing like getting reps, No replacement for just doing it over and over and over again.
Is there something you are really bad at? For me, it's Chinese bao buns and dumplings. I just can't.
Wow, I think I would be terrible at those things too. Those are hard things. Yeah, there's so many things I'm terrible at. Honey?
Food-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've already talked about the only 2 times you've made something that I wouldn't eat it.
Indeed, let's not revisit those. And again, we already talked about how I don't like my burgers, but I don't know, to a certain extent, I think that's like a problem with homemade burgers, period. That just, they're not good. Like that's a food that is meant for someone cooking on a giant wide commercial flat top or something like that. So, but I mean, I think part of the reason why I don't have a lot of epic fails in the kitchen is that I have learned to know my limits, and I don't try, I don't think I would make dumplings from scratch, I kind of don't see the point.
There was that Daniel Tiger episode, though, that made it look like dumplings could be really doable. The father and son making the dumplings together.
I mean, I've made raviolis, many times. Which, yes, I know that ravioli is plural. DB, who's already writing that downstairs. Okay. Oh,
downstairs.
sorry. But even then, every time I've finished doing that, I mean, why did I do that? That was not a good use of my time, right? I think that the home kitchen should be reserved for things that are uniquely suited to the home kitchen. And things dumplings are kind of products of mass production, right? They're efficiently made in a commercial context where someone is sitting at a table and going flip, 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 flip for hours at a time, right? That's the efficient context in which to make dumplings. It's a tremendously inefficient food to make at home. The only reason to do it is if it's fun, which is an unassailable reason for doing anything, so long as it's not injurious to anyone else or your long-term fun-having capacity. So, if you want to do it. But I think part of the reason why I don't have a lot of kitchen fails anymore, ever, is that I've learned to know my limits.
Okay, first of all, let me just slow you down there.
Yeah.
Because you for sure have some kitchen fails.
Oh, well, no. You're talking, so that's a whole other thing when I'm doing recipe development in here, right? When I'm trying things for the first time, yes, there's going to be some fails. And also when you're adding the further complication of shooting a video, which all kinds of things would be super easy to cook if I was just doing them, but I'm trying to make a show about them at the same time. Yes, that is a complicating factor that you probably don't have to deal with, and salud, right?
I do wish you would learn to make dumplings because we don't have a dumpling place here and I love those.
I think if we went down to Warner Robins, we could probably find some good dumplings.
Oh, that's true. There was that place that was about to open before COVID hit. Downtown.
What place?
Kinjo, I think it's called.
Got to check that out.
Yeah. If we ever get to go eat at restaurants again. Okay. At what age did you start to get interested in food?
I was a reasonably picky eater, nothing compared to our children.
Leo's not picky.
Leo's not picky, no. I was a reasonably picky eater until I remember, I think it was maybe 2nd or 3rd grade. I remember having the feeling that dinner that night was, that wasn't a chore. Because my parents were very, very militant about we home cook a meal almost every night, and everybody sits down at the table and eats together at 6:30 every single night, which, good for them that they did that, So eating certainly felt like a chore, especially with some of the things they gave me.
Oh.
Well, come on, pickled beets. Why did they think a kid was going to want pickled beets?
I like pickled beets now.
Yes, indeed. We are not children. So I remember somewhere around 2nd or 3rd grade, I remember kind of thinking, I'm really looking forward to dinner. I'm interested. I'm hooked. What's tomorrow night? You know. So I remember that transition very vividly. And then when I started getting interested in cooking, you know, I sort of had tried things on and off. My mom had taught me some baking stuff when I was a kid. My dad had taught me a couple of things, but it felt like a little bit of a chore. I mean, honestly, it's. I'm not proud of this. It's kind of embarrassing. It's like the equivalent of like, you know, having to tell people that you met on the internet, right? It's just like so basic. But honestly, it was when we got like the Food Network, right? Because I grew up like out in the woods and we didn't have cable. Because that was back in the days when cable didn't go everywhere, and my dad like got like a digital, like a very early digital satellite dish when I was maybe 15, and we got like early Food Network back in, you know, back when the was real, back when it was like back before they sold out, right? And honestly, it was like a bunch of really awesome shows that they would never make these days. And that totally like ignited something within me. And I think I probably made a lot of the mistakes that kids are making right now by watching me and getting ideas of making something super fancy for a, you know, special occasion and doing it for the first time on the big night and making total asses of themselves. I definitely did that because, you know, Mario Batali, whose name we shouldn't say anymore, you know, got me all excited to try something and I didn't do it right. But yeah, that was honestly kind of what did it. Yeah.
How many of the meals you make in videos do you regularly cook?
Well, if you look back in the sort of early days of the channel, I was making exclusively things that were my old war horses, like things that I had workshopped over many, many years and many, many dinners, right? I have gradually run out of those. So now I spend a lot of time kind of developing new recipes and workshopping them and trying them over and over again until they're good enough for you. But I still have a few that I haven't shot yet that are kind of things that I do all the time, and those are coming.
Pizza bread is a dominant feature in our house.
Well, that's mostly because of one particular person's
loves pizza bread
addiction, we might even say at this point.
And pancakes, many mornings.
Yep.
Yeah. Risotto.
Love a risotto. That was for you, Brits.
Okay, that's the end of the questions. Do you have anything else you want to add or talk about or address that people have brought up on the internet? Because people like to talk on the internet.
Yeah. So a little bit of shameless promotion. So the first thing I might mention is that my brother, Tony Ragusea, who is a psychologist in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, has a YouTube channel about bonsai, or bonsai is how he says it. And yeah, it's like how to make tiny trees. And it's kind of awesome. And it's very different from what I do, because he's just so chill. And as one of his viewers said on one of his videos, like, Tony is chill, Adam chaos, with the spaces in between the capital letters of chaos. I know you kids love that. So check out Tony Ragusea's YouTube channel about tiny trees. And, you know, you're quarantined. What are you going to do? Try making some tiny trees, okay? It's a thing. Other thing, it has been a while since we've talked about t-shirts, about potential channel t-shirts, Adam Ragusea t-shirts. Basically because like I had conversations with a lot of the big producers that usually work with people like me, and I did not feel good about those conversations. I did not feel good about those companies. I didn't feel good about the way the product was going to be. I didn't feel good about the price point, et cetera, et cetera. So Colin and I finally found one that we feel good about, and so yes, there are going to be t-shirts coming soon, and I will keep you apprised about that.
Somebody did ask about the cost of the kitchen because they are interested in redoing their kitchen. They wanted like an estimate and to know what was normal. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's like so here's the thing. I mean, okay, I guess we'll tell them, right?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, you do it.
Okay. So the cost of the kitchen total including redoing the laundry room and the little butler's pantry.
And the floors, which is a huge element of the expense.
So everything all together came in just under $30,000. But it's important to note we live in a very old home that needed more work. So we had to level the floors.
Everything was wonky.
Yeah, we had to repair lots of plaster. We had to do custom cabinets because that's the only way anything would fit in here. And I'm so glad we did because the cabinets are beautiful and they look like they belong.
Yeah.
And also that includes the cost of your fancy pants oven that you picked up.
Yeah, exactly. This was
and
like,
we had a perfectly good oven, but it was not perfectly good for your purposes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like $3,500 right there is the oven.
Yeah,
right?
and our old oven that was wonderful was, I think, $800.
Yeah, exactly. So you could absolutely do it for less, especially if you are living in a newer home with more kind of standard dimensions. Like just the angles in here or the spaces are super weird. There's no way we could have
There are lots of shims under things to make
yeah.
them all level.
Yeah, there's no way we could have gone to a big box store and gotten like a prefab cabinet situation and jammed it in here. But maybe you could, and that would knock an enormous amount off.
They even
the
had
price.
to do custom cuts on the countertops because of all the weird, wonky, angles and things that jut out.
Right.
So that was.
And bear in mind that this is my business now, right? Mm-hmm. So that kind of expense made sense for me, and maybe it wouldn't for you. So don't be intimidated by that figure.
Yeah, you could absolutely do it for less if you have the right place. That being said, if you live in Macon, highly recommend
Brant Freeman
cabinets. Oh my gosh,
best.
Our kitchen. I mean, the old kitchen was very dark and strange, and he walked in and took a look at it, and he was like, "Okay, I'll be back." And he went away and drew these plans up, and I never would have thought of putting an island in this kitchen. It never would have occurred to me. And I'll be honest, all through the construction, I was like, because I'm a trust professionals person, and I was like, Branson's going to be good, so I'm going to go with it. But I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I never want to leave this kitchen. Like, if we could put a bed in here, I'd sleep in here. I write books in here now. I just hang out in here. I love it.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, the one thing where I feel if you're going to splurge anywhere in a kitchen redesign, I would honestly say countertops, right? Because this is the surface that you work on. And getting a good stone countertop that is heat resistant, that is non-porous, all that kind of stuff, I think really makes your life a whole lot easier. You can put a hot pot right on it. You're not going to hurt anything. You can mix up batters and not batters, that'd be a bad idea. Doughs. All kinds of things like, you don't have to worry about contamination or kind of getting little bits of schmutz into tiny little holes or anything like that. You can sterilize these really well. So I think a really high quality granite or marble countertop is a good use of your money.
Do you remember that apartment in Boston we had that had tile countertops? And so there was just grout and crumbs lived in there forever.
That was the worst. Don't do that. I mean, other than that, stay safe, everybody. Please keep doing whatever you can to support the food producers in your community whose businesses have been completely destroyed by all of this craziness. Please, if they're offering any kind of takeout and that's a safe option for you and your particular risk factors, please keep doing that. I'm very, very worried about their industry, and we really just need to stand by them and support them in any way that we can, because they have been there for us on so many anniversaries and Valentines and special occasions and other, drunken hijinks. They tolerated us, and they fed us. And so we need to be there for them right now. So other than that, yeah.
Thank you.
Good day.